Hey, Curtis.
Hey, Oz.
You got a movie this week?
I do. This week's movie marriage. It's kind of like you're watching the end of the Michael Keaton Batman movie, along with High Anxiety
What?
and Face Off, while enjoying a nice bowl of Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. This week we're watching Vertigo.
Vertigo. I'd like to see. I would like to see Mel Brooks's Face Off or Mel Brooks's Batman.
Mel Brooks's Face Off.
I think Carrie Elwes would take Nicolas Cage's spot or something.
Yeah.
So, welcome back.
Cleavon Little would be in there somewhere too.
Cleavon Little. As Castor Troy.
Castor Troy. Oh God!
Those '90s movie names were bonkers.
Castor Troy.
Cyrus the Virus. Yeah, Castor Troy. Yeah. All right. Yep. Welcome back, listeners, viewers, to another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, the podcast where we take a monthly theme, wrapping up Hitchcocktober. This week.
It's been a 5-weeker.
It has. It's been this is a good month to have 5 weeks.
Yeah, it is.
And we will reveal next month's theme at the end of the show, yes, which I'm glad is just a 4-weeker.
Yes, it's going to be, there's going to be a notable difference in the quality of film. We'll tease you with that.
Yes. And if you don't notice, you need to watch more films. So, I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
I am the other host, Curtis.
And before we get rolling, we want to give a shout out to our Patreon subscribers, Don S., Aaron A., Mandy K., Melissa L., Colleen K., Lyle M., and a special thanks to a one-time donation by ManTaxFan217.
Yes.
Whoever you shall be, thank you for your... Yes. He's not a monthly patron. He just made a donation to the show.
Yes, so, which for ethical and legal purposes, Oz is keeping.
Is this the same? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know. Yeah, yes. That was a fun story.
I don't know for sure, but I have a strong feeling it is. So yeah.
I kind of suspected only because it was the dates were in sync. You would text me and said, just briefly tell your side of the story.
Yeah, well, again, as our longtime listeners know, I work at a school, and I advise. I'm a co-advisor of our comics, manga, and fandoms club, and every once in a while, I bring up just for giggles, like they like to hear our exploits, and
right,
and so like, oh yeah, we got the. We get the podcast. It's Hitchcocktober. Like usually, I'll share like that's what the month, the theme for the month is, and I let it slip that we had a Patreon, and one of my students, and he's a senior, and he's been there with us since day one of his freshman year, so I know him pretty well. I had his older brother, and so he got a new Patreon, and I just turn and look at him like, no. You cancel right now.
Bad boy.
No.
You rubbed his nose in it.
Yep. No. And at first he's like, what? I just want to help you out. Like I am appreciative of that. I am grateful for that. However, we cannot have a forum in which a student is giving me money or is perceived to giving me money. That just true. Can't work. After you graduate, are welcome to
that's what I was
give me
say
all the
too,
money
like,
you want.
Come June 2025.
Yes.
Sign right up.
I look forward to you signing up with 3 different Patreons.
I will gladly move you to the front of the list come June 2025.
Yes. Your name will bookend our Patreon list.
So every email you have, just sign on up.
Yeah. May 18th, 2024. We look forward to your patronage.
There you go. 2025.
Thank you. But not while you are presently a student.
No. So, but apparently, as you messaged me and said he joined Kick Him Out. I'm like, I can't. Like, I looked and they subscribed, and so you did get through to him. He did cancel, but apparently on his way out, he just dropped a few coffers.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yes. It was not done maliciously.
No. It's not like you went in and were like
but
shaking kids down for their lunch money.
But we did have a brief conversation about ethics. So yeah.
And he's looking at it like, I don't understand how this is unethical for me.
At first, it's like, it's my money. I'm going to do with it what I want. And like, I can understand that, but like, yeah.
But just consider who you're donating to.
Yeah.
Like my friend Oz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is 100% going to Oz.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
We do need to start figuring out a way to cut that. But then again, is there ethics considering you're related to just about everybody that does donate? So.
You're leeching my inheritance.
That's true. Slowly but surely, $3 to $6 a month. I am.
Well, I mean, I think it's, if we ever get to like triple digits in monthly Patreon.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because you mentioned before,
but like you do the bulk of the work, like the majority of it.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, we watch the movies, we talk about them, we have a good time. We do banter back and forth about what the topics will be, making sure the flow is there. But yeah, all the technical stuff that you're watching or listening to, that's me. But that's neither here. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Again, I'm looking forward to the day where, like you said, it's amassed such a growth that we're like, Scrooge McDucking the Patreon money.
Yep, we're just diving into our gold coin pits.
I don't understand how that flows. That would be hard. So anyway, those are our Patreon subscribers, and thank you to Mantax Fan 217. So it's a fan of the Mantax.
Also, quick shout out to the Chicago Indie Critics.
Oh yeah, those guys that are yet to, with the exception of Don S, have yet to join the Patreon. So
but we're happy to be part of their ranks.
I'm saying that facetiously. We love you guys. Thank you for all that you do. All right, so here we are, Vertigo, your film. So I'm going to cover the cast
who's
of
in
characters.
This movie, Oz?
Shocker. Jimmy Stewart's in this movie.
Jimmy Stewart?
Yeah.
This is the last week in which we'll get to do our Jimmy Stewart impression.
Unless we do a non-Hitchcock Jimmy Stewart month. But we could.
Spoiler, no Jimmy Stewart in next month's theme.
Have you watched all 5 yet?
I have
I think he's in the final one. The final movie of the month.
Is he? I was debating if I wanted to say something or not without spoiling it.
Right, I know, I did too. But yeah, Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart playing John Scotty Ferguson.
Yes, who I refer to as Scotty throughout,
which is fair. Last week's movie also had a Jimmy Stewart going by a nickname, but at least that nickname was under like a shortened version of his actual name.
Yeah.
This is just
Buzz.
John Ferguson, but call me Scotty. Like, all right. We have Kim Novak playing dual roles here as Judy Barton and Madeline Elster. Tom Helmore as Gavin Elster, which we'll talk more about as we go. Barbara Bell Geddes as Marjorie Midge Wood.
Not enough midges out there.
Not enough of them, no. The only, like, who's your favorite midge off the top of your head?
I know Mo in The Simpsons will occasionally get Marge's name wrong and call her Midge.
I believe if Chris Christopherson's wife in Big Top Pee-wee is named Midge.
That's right. You're right. Yeah.
She's like the Thumbelina size.
Yeah, that's right. It keeps her in a glass jar.
Yeah. Chris Christopherson's like thumb-sized wife. Midge.
I think that was one of his albums too, Thumb-Sized Wife.
Thumb-Sized Wife by Chris Christopherson. He just has his denim shirt open. It's just you can't tell.
That was the album cover.
Yeah. You just can't tell when the hair stops and the neck starts.
Yep. It's all one continuous flow.
We've got Henry Jones as the coroner, Raymond Bailey as Scotty's doctor, Ellen Corby, Constantine Shane, Lee Patrick. Really very small cast.
Yeah, there's really only 4 characters that matter.
That matter. The first 4 I mentioned. And then Alfred Hitchcock playing Alfred Hitchcock.
Of course, because he can't help himself.
Which, you know what? I will give him credit where I will not give credit to M. Night Shyamalan. Like, Hitchcock makes his appearances, but he's just like walks by a scene. Yeah. Shyamalan's like, I see you, Hitchcock, and I'm going to give myself a speaking role as the like conversationalist that moves the plot along. Like,
yep. I'm gonna choose some scenery.
That's me. So, yeah, there's that. All right, so that's the cast of our film, Vertigo. Yeah. What is this movie about?
Well, what is this movie about? Again, we've talked that most of the Hitchcock movies we've done this month have been very simple plots.
Very much so.
This one not so simple.
No.
No. There's a lot of spiraling in this plot.
There's a lot of spiraling in the opening credits.
Yeah, I think they used a spirograph to make the opening credits.
I was wondering if spirograph was going to come up with the conversation. Yeah. Did you ever have a spirograph?
I did. I did not use it much. I was not much of an artiste.
Yeah, I had one. It was at my grandparents', and I just remember the markers that she supplied, like the bullet tip of the marker was always too thick to fit into the hole of the spirograph. And I hated it when you got a really cool like spirograph going, and then like your inner piece skips and then it just blows the whole thing out. And I had an angry kid, so
stupid spirograph.
I didn't mind the spirograph though.
Mm-hmm. Well, we got some tense music playing as police officer Scotty and his partner chase a criminal across a rooftop. They're like Daredevil in it. I was like jumping from rooftop to rooftop.
It's like Casino Royale, the opening scene.
Yeah, that's another good comp there. Scotty slips and he's holding onto a gutter several stories above, and his partner stops pursuing the criminal and comes back to help him, and somehow he ends up falling off the roof.
Do you think much crime happens on rooftops these days?
Oh, it's the only place where crime happens.
Okay. I just, because you don't, well, I don't know. It just feel like I don't live near the big city any longer, but I don't recall hearing many stories of the purples apprehended on rooftop. Like, it just seems like rooftop crime and rooftop getaways are very much a Hollywood thing.
That's McHenry County. That's all. That's the only place where you ever hear the phrase "cat on a hot tin roof"?
I have.
Yeah, the cat is slang for perp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
And it actually that came out of McHenry County.
It also makes sense why the McHenry Police Department is on the top floor of the building they're in.
It is. They also have jetpacks.
They just get right at it.
Yeah.
They start on the roof.
Yeah.
And then run downstairs to the car.
Yeah, they assume it's going to be on the roof and are surprised and must respond appropriately when in the rare occasions when the crime isn't on the roof.
Most places have their precincts spread throughout the city. But not McHenry. They have their precincts spread throughout floors in the city.
Yeah, it's centralized to the roofs.
Yeah.
Specifically 5th story and higher.
Right.
And there's not a lot of buildings in McHenry County that are over 5 stories.
And they're not next to each other, which makes the jump really far.
So Scotty watches his partner just plummet to his death. And we get the first of those, the vertigo view, which I put it in all caps. Technically, Oz, you want to describe? Because I have a feeling you could do a better job describing this technically than me.
Yeah, I can. Oh, did you want me to, or do you just want me to?
Yes, I'm gonna go get some chips. So
right, I think what they're doing with the camera, because I didn't look into it because I didn't want to spoil it for myself. But I think what they're doing with the camera is. It's green screen-esque in that you're starting with a subject in frame, and then to give the appearance of falling away, you're just backing up with the camera while you are still somewhat like feels like almost like a reverse like dolly zoom.
Yeah.
So they don't give the perception that they're dropping away to nothing. But again, they're not filmed. It's not filmed over the scene to where so when our police officer is falling, it's like layer one piece of celluloid on top of another that gives the appearance that he's falling away without the background moving. because that's got to be the catch.
I thought that they just threw a cameraman off the roof. I mean, if you're committed to your craft.
Yeah. There's a lot of police officers in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And they knew Dirty Harry was coming, so they didn't need them all anymore. So they just took Magoo and chucked him.
Strap a GoPro to your head and go for a dive.
One take, Charlie. Here you go. And then once they had the corpse, that's the one they just kept chucking off the rooftop.
Yeah. We got to strap the camera to something.
Redress him.
May as well put it to a dead body.
Put him on a wig and let him go.
Hey, he survived. He's in traction. He's all healed up. We'll get a second take.
Well, good. Yeah, he's ready for take 2.
Yeah, he's already got the cast. He's well protected.
Yeah, he's good. So that's how I think they did it. But I could be wrong.
So Scotty survives.
Yeah. I would like to just give me a few more beats. How does Scotty get off of that?
That would be a good for wrapping up this episode. Because he's barely hanging on. And that gutter he's hanging on to is bending.
Do you think the criminal came back to help him?
I think so.
In exchange,
like
I'll help you up as long as you don't press charges.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll do it.
Just pull me up already.
Either that or Scotty just let go and fell on top of the bloated corpse.
There's a great, here's a second Simpsons reference of the show already. We're 15 minutes in.
Nice.
Mr. Burns falls through his own office, like his own trap door in his office.
Okay.
And of course, and I should have mentioned he had dropped Lenny through earlier.
Okay.
So Lenny fell through, and then Mr. Burns accidentally drops himself through, and Smithers, of course, dives after him and goes, "Sir, try to land on Leonard's carcass." So Scotty talks, he survives, he makes it. We fast forward a little bit of time. He's talking with his fashion designer and former fiance Midge
of like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That he still somewhat appears to be holding on to the good times we had in those 3 weeks of engagement in college.
Well, she's holding on to it a little tighter than he is.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's a Hitchcock movie.
Yeah.
And women have to fawn over men.
Yes, they pine for their men. That's what we do in Hitchcock films.
Yep.
But he's almost done with his rehab. He had to quit the force, though, because of his acrophobia and the subsequent vertigo that comes with it.
Because all crime chases are on rooftop.
Yeah.
You're a useless police officer if you can't.
If you can't. Yep. You're no good to us.
If you can't reenact the Crow.
So the camera lingers on Midge, revealing again she still has feelings for Scotty, although she apparently called it off. Midge says my doctor says the only cure for your acrophobia is another highly emotional and traumatic moment.
And then she goes, and I'm pregnant. But no, that.
Oh, jeez. Oh, Midge.
Oh,
no. It's been 11 months.
Who's the fella?
Scotty says, I can get over it progressively. See, I'm going to look out this window because apparently, her apartment or whatever is higher up a building. And I'm going to stand on the stool. And of course, he has another moment. And
as he gets to the top, he looks
out
the window and realizes,
passes out into Midge's arms.
She's pretty strong because he was on the top of that stool.
Yeah.
And just drop dead weight, and she wraps him. It was just an embrace short of a romantic situation.
Mm-hmm. Then she dipped him and laid a big smooch on him.
Freak nasty.
Midge.
Freak nasty to dip.
Freak nasty.
Oh, you put your hand up on my hip.
When I dip, you dip, we dip. There's our through line, by the way.
I see you, Midge.
I see you, Midge, shaking that thing. So, I'm done.
That's
done fair. Freak nasty. Oh, I think I had that single.
Single, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had that single. 15-year-old me listening to it on B96.
Teach yourself how to twerk in the safety of your own bedroom.
Yep.
Hoping that some girl would put her hand up on your hip.
When I dip, you dip, we dip. At the docks, Scotty meets in a fancy office of his old friend and shipbuilder, Gavin. As a favor, Gavin has asked Scotty, I need you to follow my wife. I am worried about her safety. She's disassociating that a dead person's spirit is inhabiting her body. She's walking all over town and she's going to like bodies of water. I need somebody I trust to follow her around. Scotty says, well, technically I'm not a cop anymore.
Right.
I'll arrange for somebody else. And Gavin insists. And of course, Scotty does it as a favor to his old friend.
It's gotta be you.
Yep. So that night, Gavin has Scotty go observe her at a restaurant. We got a great profile shot of Gavin's wife, Madeline. And this really kind of sets off a series of these shots, these profile shots,
Yes.
you know, expressing her duality.
Right.
If we're going to get fancy about it.
And
Or nasty about it.
Right. Right. Not that there's a bad profile shot of Kim Novak.
Correct.
Yeah.
Next day, Scotty tails her to a florist and then a cemetery outside of the Mission San Francisco de Assis, where she gives respects to the grave of Carlotta Valdez, who was only 26 when she died 100 years ago. Yes, my friend, you're chuckling.
Oh, I was thinking of that chapter in Kill Bill Volume 2, the grave of, was it Paula?
Yeah, I forget. Yeah, Paula something, or Paula Schultz, was that it?
Paula
Okay.
Schultz.
Paula Schultz.
Paula
Yep.
Schultz, yeah. That's how I was laughing. Like, comes like, just thinking of, Michael Madsen and that little guy just hanging out there with Kim
The guy
Novak.
with the tiny arms.
Yeah, the tiny arms that he's so like macho masculine in his speech.
He's like T-Rex at his beard.
Yeah.
Later at an art museum, Scotty observes Madeline studying a portrait, and Madeline is carrying the same bouquet as the woman in the portrait, even has her hair done the same way.
Mm-hmm.
The museum curator says the portrait is of Carlotta, the same woman whose grave she visited. Madeline is also wearing a very gray outfit. This is one of those movies where, it's I forget her name. Edith. Was it Edith Head? I think was the name of the fashion designer who Hitchcock, hired to work on this movie and others, and
it shows.
Yeah. The clothing in this movie tells a lot of the story as well. He follows her to a hotel. She's registered under the name Carlotta Valdez, but she's not in her room, despite the fact that Scotty saw her, and the clerk claims that she didn't see her walk in either. So a lot of mystery early on in this movie,
and tough to follow for a first-time view too.
Yes.
Like, just as you're watching, you're like, yeah, it's just question mark after question mark.
I know a lot of critics at the time were very mixed about this.
I read that too. Mm-hmm. Not a pretty lukewarm reception.
Yeah, they're just too confusing. Mm-hmm. And I mean, as we've talked about with most of the other Hitchcock films already, again, this plot there's a lot more to it than the others. And you almost get the impression that, they were used to, the simple.
Yeah, just, it's a much bigger sandbox here.
Mm-hmm. Later, he asks Midge if she knows an authority on San Francisco history. She takes him to talk to Pop Liebel. I think he was manager for the Dodgers for a while, too.
For a little bit. Interim.
Pop Liebel, yeah. He was the third base coach for Lasorda in the late 80s. So Pop reveals that Carlotta married an older, rich man. She bore him a child, but he discarded her, as was socially acceptable at the time. She went mad and ended up dying by her own hand. Later on, Gavin reveals that Carlotta was Madeline's great-grandmother. And that when Madeline goes to places around town, she's no longer my wife. She's taking on this role, implying that like the spirit of Carlotta is possessing Madeline as she walks around town wearing her jewelry.
Hate it when that happens.
Madeline has never even heard of Carlotta. you hate it when you accidentally wear somebody else's jewelry.
I hate it when my grandparents inhabit my body and I don't want them to.
Get out of here, Meemaw. I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times.
Grandpa, not now.
The next day, Scotty follows Madeline to Fort Point on the Bay, which is at the base of the Golden Gate Bridge. and she's throwing flower petals into the bay, and then she throws herself into the bay.
Well, she threw one too many. Like, not that one.
Scotty jumps in, pulls her out, and there's such a great moment as he pulls her out and he gets her back on shore, and Jimmy Stewart just sells it. Just the heartache in the scene. In these couple of days he's been tailing her, he's clearly falling for her.
Yes.
And
which is something he shouldn't do with agoraphobia.
Yeah, you're falling. Yeah. I hate it when I fall.
Gosh, I'm so high in love.
Takes her to his apartment to recover, as opposed to a hospital.
Yeah. That cute shot where he pulls her out and she like shakes her coat like a dog. He's like, oh, stop. You're getting me wet.
You freak.
That's nasty. Wait a minute. Hold a moment here.
I think I'm onto something here.
She took a dip in the water.
What I dip, you dip, we dip.
Do that again.
I might release this on Casino.
You freak.
No.
Do you know the butterfly?
Nobody who does. People who don't know that song.
They're like, what are they talking about?
Yeah. So Lyle M. Just FYI, we're referencing a mid '90s dance hip hop song.
And if you like it, go listen to the Tootsie Roll too. That's a fun one.
Same vein. If you like the Tootsie Roll. I love songs that just tell you how to dance.
Right. I know. I miss songs.
You dip right now.
Yeah. I'm giving you instructions. Casper Slide's a hit for a reason.
Just keep it simple. Just tell me what I need to know, and then I will do that thing.
I miss songs that do that and songs that announce what year it is. It's 1994, y'all. I do. I miss it. Public Enemy had I can't remember which song it was, but that was like the first line of the song was like 1991.
They just wanted to have something that was relative in time.
Yeah, like Tone Loc it's the ladies and he's down with the 80s, or it's the 80s and he's down with the ladies. Yeah, something like that.
Scotty's clearly taken with her as she comes to, and she says she doesn't remember falling into the bay. Gavin calls, says, Madeline's 26, the same age that Carlotta was when she died. And of course, Madeline leaves while Scotty is on the phone with Gavin. Next day, Scotty follows her around town, and she's driving around town. I guess this was actually like, if you follow the path that she was driving, it's not just like random scenes in San Francisco. Okay. It actually is a real route that you could take.
And it spells out Carlotta Valdez on a map.
Yeah, and Google Maps, because she had her GPS on the whole time.
Yeah. Well, Scotty was in a Google Maps car, so.
He also had one of those like advertisers, like you get paid $50 like a week to just put this magnet on top of your
exactly.
car.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Real inconspicuous, like.
So she's driving around town. Eventually, she stops at his home to drop off a thank you note, and of course, he walks up, and I've enjoyed talking, and she goes to leave, and she says, I'm going to wander some more, but two together are going somewhere. They're not wandering. So they spend the day together. Yeah. They see the sequoias. She points to rings in like a big cross section, that was cut from a sequoia tree, points out when she was born and died. And then she just wanders off. And he demands of her when she was born, and, what drove you to the bay? And she's just tortured and disoriented, and they end up stopping at the beach where she recounts nightmares that she's having, and they end up embracing and kissing, and very tender moment. But this, I got a feeling this might come up later, but I don't know if this is the best time to try to woo someone, Oz.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart learned his lesson by putting away Grace Kelly a few years ago. Mm-hmm. When the first time he had a cane, it was hurt.
So that
I'm not losing another blonde.
I'm holding this one close, folks.
Right. Put my hand on her hip.
That evening, Midge invites Scotty over, asks him to dinner and a movie. Hey, what have you been up to? And she apparently he's been sharing with Midge what he's been doing, and she painted herself as Carlotta with her face there, and Scotty takes it as a bad joke. It storms out, and Midge is really hard on herself, Oz.
Yeah,
just stupid
idiot.
It's a rough scene, but like it's also one that I think is relatable too. Like Midge is trying to win him back and just furious at herself.
Yeah, she's obviously way more invested than he is at this point.
Yeah.
And so she's really putting herself out there, taking these risks. And then when this one backfires, it's like, you just do. You just find yourself, you just feel stupid. Like, why did I do that? It's like when you could try to make a contact single, maybe leg it into a double and you're swinging for the fences. And then
just take what's there.
Right.
Yeah. Later, Madeline shows up at Scotty's, worried she's had the dream again. And Scotty recognizes like the imagery that she's describing from the dream. It's an old Spanish mission that's about 100 miles south of San Francisco. So they end up going to the mission, and they get there and they again share a passionate kiss, but she feels compelled to act on something awful. And, you could tell that she's really torn about something, as she's there. And she even tells him it wasn't supposed to happen this way, which is kind of an odd thing to say.
Right.
Like, what wasn't supposed to happen? What way? As Scotty confesses his love to her, Madeline insists on going into the church alone, which for some bizarre reason, he lets her initially.
Yeah.
And then he looks up and notices the tall steeple and,
oh,
freak nasty, I gotta go get her.
Somehow I have to go get her.
So he dips on after her. Chases her up the that's for you, buddy. Chases her up the staircase, but of course he can't make it up the steeple because of his condition. And we get a couple more of those vertigo shots. And he makes it maybe 2/3 of the way up, and he hears Madeline scream and looks out a window and sees her fall, and she falls to her death. We cut to a trial then sometime later. You're guessing probably at least a good couple of months later.
Yeah, it's not later that afternoon.
Yeah.
Well, that job's done. Let's go to court.
got breakfast at Waffle House, and then It's that San Francisco known for Waffle Houses too, by the way. It's a great regional reference there, Curtis. Stupid.
Idiot Midge.
So at this trial, Gavin is found blameless, as he couldn't have anticipated, Scotty not being able to pursue Madeline up the stairs, is what the judge says. There's no way that
you could have known about his agoraphobia that he's never shut up about in this movie. There's no way.
And of course, the judge chastises Scotty for not doing more and for leaving the scene. He was really hard on him.
Yeah,
Stupid.
Right.
There's a great WWE moment where Randy Orton was wrestling. I think it was Kofi Kingston, and I forget what happened, but
I love Kofi Kingston.
Kofi missed a cue or something, and Randy he broke character in the middle of the ring and just starts yelling at him and just goes stupid like at Kofi Kingston in the ring, in front of 20,000 people. And I guess that's become a thing in WWE lore now.
I'll have to look that up. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah. Just if you look up Randy Orton stupid, I'm sure it'll pop up. So, the jury finds that Madeline committed suicide while of unsound mind. And, afterwards, Gavin tells Scotty he's leaving. And that's, only they know what really killed Madeline. Right?
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm. We cut to Scotty having a nightmare. And we get that, this very innovative sequence here, at least for the time, of there's different colors and there's animation in there. Again, I am not sage wisdom wise enough to share how this was made, but just very, very cool sequence demonstrating his nightmares. And and he wakes up in the cold sweat. Classic shot from this as he just kind of sits up in bed towards the camera.
You're very at this point, stereotypical, I'm awaking from a bad dream.
Yeah, before it became a stereotype.
Like Undertakering himself up, sitting up at like you said, staring right into the camera, cold sweat. Yeah, it's but this again, 56 or 58. Yeah. Not so well known at the time.
Yeah. Midge visits and comforts Scotty at a sanitarium. So he's actually been committed. Yeah. He's so beside himself. Yeah, he's become
catatonic,
not non-functional.
Yeah.
Where he needed that level of care. And the doctor tells her, of course, the doctor tells her, because there's no privacy here at all.
Nope.
Doctor tells her he's suffering from acute melancholia and guilt. That was the working title of the Pumpkins.
I was just saying, wasn't that a Smashing Pumpkins album?
Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. Acute melancholia and guilt was the working title of that album.
And Darcy said no.
Bless you.
Thank you.
And then Scotty is still in love with Madeline. Sometime later, he's again, it doesn't give a reference of time, but you're guessing probably another several months or so. He sees Madeline car and asks the owner where she got it. Oh, I bought it from a guy named Gavin Elster. Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah. He goes back to the restaurant, thinks he sees her at the art gallery, at the flower shop, sees a similar bouquet. And then he sees a woman who is a spitting image.
Oh, yeah.
Spitting image of Madeline.
Looked just like Kim Novak.
Yeah. Spitting image of Kim Novak.
Right.
So Scotty ends up following her back to her room in the hotel she's living at. And he insists, like, I need to talk to you. I need to know who you are. And she very begrudgingly lets him in. And she reveals, my name is Judy Barton. I'm from Salina, Kansas.
Right.
She recognizes his grief and, and surmises, like, she's able to figure out, like, I look like somebody.
Yeah. Like lost. You're hooked. Like, yeah, you're attached to my image somehow.
Yeah. She hesitantly accepts a date request from Scotty, and he leaves, giving her time to prepare. And as she's just kind of sitting there, kind of going back over this very bizarre moment of this man showing up at her hotel
that she should have ran from.
Yes.
Instead of like, okay, I suppose we could go on a date.
So
she didn't know anybody. Like Judy Barton from Salina, Kansas. I'm new here. I don't know anyone. You're a nice guy.
So
you're already here.
Yeah. You're clearly going to buy me dinner.
The hard part's done.
And so the camera stays with Judy again instead of following Scotty out, which is a little odd. But then we realize as she flashes back to the chase at the mission, Judy was there. And as Madeline, quote unquote, gets to the top of the stairs, Gavin is already up there, and he throws someone else wearing the same outfit off the roof, and then puts his hand over, quote unquote, Madeline's mouth. Turns out that Judy Barton had been masquerading, who's a dead ringer, had been masquerading as Madeline, and that Gavin had killed Madeline at some point and tossed the real Madeline, who we never meet in the movie,
right,
off of this bell tower.
It was the cops' corpse from earlier in the movie.
It was. And so Judy initially starts packing up to leave.
Right,
I got to get out of here.
The jig is up.
Yeah, but then she comes across the gray outfit because, of course, like that's the outfit she was wearing. And she starts writing Scotty a note, and she's kind of narrating it to herself. And I took down parts of it here. And she says, this is the moment that I've hoped and dreaded. I wanted to see you again just once. You were the victim of Gavin's plan to murder his wife, and I was the tool.
Mm. It's deep.
Yeah. You're as an audience, the first time you're watching this movie, like, what in the world is happening? And so again, here just re-referencing the deep, twisty plots and that make this movie a little different from the other Hitchcock movies we have here. So Gavin he basically hired Judy, dressed her up to look like Madeline. Gavin picks, I need somebody to witness this murder. So pick Scotty, knowing full well Scotty wasn't going to make it to the top of that tower.
Yeah, I need someone to witness this suicide.
Yeah. So like parts of the story were true, like the Carlotta stuff.
Yeah.
But the parts that some of the Madeline stuff was invented. And Gavin knew Scotty's illness wouldn't let him get up there. Judy made the mistake of falling in love with Scotty. Again, not part of the plan. That's why she yelled before. It wasn't supposed to happen this way.
Right.
I wasn't supposed to fall in love with the man who we're trying to dupe. And so she ends up tearing up the note, and she stops packing, and she ends up going on the date.
Well, why not? You get a second chance with your first love.
So they go to the same restaurant. As he drops her off, Scotty just tells her, like, don't go to work. Let me just take care of you. And
it's like, what do you do for a living? I don't know. I quit being a cop. I'm a really bad private detective. I've been institutionalized, but just let me take care of you.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
It's all right.
It's okay. Like, I won't dip out on you.
Don't worry. I'm not nasty.
I'll be good to you.
Don't worry. I don't take care of myself. I have plenty of energy to take care of you.
I'm incapable of caring for myself, but let me take care of you, Judy.
It's what I could do it. Just let me try.
And so he talks her into taking the day off the next day so they can spend more time together. Scotty takes her to this like high-end clothing store looking for that same.
He shouldn't go to high-end clothing stores with the agoraphobia
because
that he has.
The agoraphobia. He should have went to a low-end store.
Why are we at Goodwill? Well, high-end stuff really triggers my agoraphobia.
Just the room starts spinning, Judy. It starts spinning.
As soon as I see these prices, I just, whoa! Get real dizzy.
Do you have anything on your clearance rack?
Right. Can you lay it down for me?
And he doesn't deny it when she accuses him of wanting to wear the same suit that Madeline dressed in, however she framed it. And he's asking for other outfits that she wears. Judy is resistant, but ends up going with it. Couldn't you just like me, just the way I am? I'll wear the clothes if you just like me.
Yeah, just dress like her.
And act like her.
Put this on. Go lay in the courtyard there. That's how I remember her.
He ends up insisting that she dye her hair. And she just, I don't care anymore about me is something she says at some point. And it's just heart-wrenching.
Yeah, it really is. Because it's like he's obviously in love with Madeline and you embody her. So I want to project her onto you. And meanwhile, she's like, but it was me all along.
But she loves him and she can't let go of those feelings. And so she's willing to go with it if it means basically sacrificing who she is to be with him.
Yeah, poor Midge.
Yeah.
Spins an ass.
She's trying so hard. Stupid.
like Scotty spends a half hour with Madeline and he's like, I just want to be with you forever. And she's like, I was with you. He's like, you're not good enough. No.
And Midge is outside the restaurant window, just banging at the glass. Stupid.
It's raining only on her.
Only on her, yeah.
She's John Cusacking the scene.
And so, she gets the hair dyed, and Judy arrives at the hotel where Scotty's waiting, dyed hair, gray suit, and she walks out looking just like Madeline.
Yeah.
And her hair isn't styled the way he wants, and so she goes to the bathroom and emerges with it, and I even have in my notes I'm on the verge of tears at this point.
Yeah,
it's so sad.
Right, you've got two broken people.
Yeah,
but you've got two halves of two broken people, but the halves we have don't fit together.
Yeah. So he passionately kisses her, and the camera just slowly circles them, bathed in this just beautiful green light from the hotel signage outside. Just such a gorgeous.
It really is.
Shot.
It's a beautiful scene.
Yeah. Later, though, he recognizes the necklace that she's wearing as the same one from the Carlotta portrait.
Mm-hmm.
And Judy embraces him and says, Scotty, I do have you now, don't I? And he's onto her.
Yeah.
And it happened pretty fast. And he ends up driving her back down to the mission. And he pulls a terrified Judy out of the car. and just, I need you to be Madeline for a while. I want to stop being haunted.
We go lay in that courtyard.
And so, like, he tells Judy about what happened that night, pulls her into the church. Walk the stairs, Judy. And he's manhandling her at this point.
Yes, it's like, very rough.
Pushing her up the stairs. And his vertigo kicks in, but he keeps going. He pushes through it this time. The necklace, Madeline, that was your slip. And
she's like, this was, and takes off the dress and reveals the slip.
That was your slip. That rhymes with dip.
Right. You're nasty, you freak. Just a freak.
At 35 years, this song is gonna go through the roof, Madeline, through the roof. So, like, he's figured it out. He's gotten her upstairs to the top of this tower, and he's just yelling at her, and like, and she basically comes clean. Gavin prettied me up, made me who I was, and it's such a line that he says in here, and just how he spits it out. He's just seething. You were a very apt pupil, weren't you?
Yeah.
Like
you're like a next door neighbor Nazi in hiding.
One of my favorite Key and Peele sketches is
I know where you're going. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh God, what's the
Ray Parker Jr.
I almost said Ray Charles. Ray Parker Jr. The other movie themes.
Yeah.
His song about apt pupil.
Yeah. Ray Parker Jr. Like, just Jordan Peele makes him so excited to do this infomercial.
Yeah, he's thrilled to do it.
Oh, I love it.
Lawnmower man. Get up off of my lawn.
He's got like a glass of scotch.
He's having a great time.
He's like Frank Sinatra in the studio. It's just Ray Parker Jr. sings hits.
So they get up to the top of the tower, and he angrily asks, like, why did Gavin ditch you? And just Gavin gave her a little money, and like, you shouldn't keep souvenirs of a killing. And she admits, like, I still love you. And as they're arguing, and they even share a kiss, a shadowed figure emerges, frightening Judy, causing her to trip and fall backwards out of the tower, plunging to her death.
Yes.
And this figure, it was just a nun.
Yeah,
it was their mission.
Yeah, I mean, there was noises going on. She was just coming to see what the noises were.
Yeah. And so the nun just crosses herself, and just an absolutely stunned Scotty just walks out to the ledge, and the camera stays with him as he looks down at her body. And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, what an ending, Oz.
Like, Midge predicted it all along. Yeah. All you need is another, like, second life-changing kind of startle. And
she was right.
Like, this was it.
Yeah.
This was all Midge's concocted plan to get rid of his agoraphobia.
Oh, what
you got 2 people die in this film.
Yeah. So
it was just nuns ringing the mission bell, and
and he's looking down, and you're wondering what happens next as we fade to black. Oh, what a movie, Oz!
It really is. Great film.
All right, well, hey, every week on Let's Talk About Flicks, Oz and I give our own unique rating to the film we yap about. This week it's 1958's Vertigo. Hey, Oz, how would you rate this flick?
I'm going to give it 10 Jimmy Stewarts.
10 Jimmy Stewarts?
Yes.
You're an apt pupil. When I dip, you dip, we dip.
Just do it already. So put your hand right here.
Right on my hip.
What are you giving it?
I'm going to go with 2 Kim Novaks.
Okay.
Yeah.
I almost went Kim Novak, but
yeah.
This movie's too good for just 2. We're going 10.
10 Jimmy Stewarts.
Max it out.
Hey, next up, folks, Oz and I just forgot the bit again off the top of my head.
Oh my gosh, what is your problem?
We've scoured the interwebs searching for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours as well in our next comedy segment, Outside Insights. Hey, Oz, what is your outside insight?
Mine, as usual, comes from Amazon. Mm-hmm. It is a 1 out of 5 star by Librich, and it's titled Mediocre. It's a puzzle that people are so high on this film. Almost everything about it is inferior. Doesn't say to what, just that it's inferior.
It's inferior.
The first 10 minutes are a case study in clumsy exposition. Stewart explains his backstory to a close friend who already knows everything he's telling her. As the protagonist, Stewart is such a stammering fool that it's impossible to take him seriously as a man with a romantic obsession. When the Hunter character reappears with a different hair color, any viewer with half a brain can figure out what the film's twist is, and the end is ridiculous. Stewart puts Hunter in a car, drives her from one end of the bay to the other area, or one end of the Bay Area to the... Stewart puts Hunter in a car and drives her from one end of the Bay Area to the area in order to show her he knows her secret. Once they arrive at their destination, it's clear that Stewart's inexplicable behavior was contrived by the filmmaker so that Hunter could accidentally fall and make her death real. The secret, the husband's plot to make use of Stewart's vertigo in order to stage a fake death, doesn't pass muster. The idea that so much effort would be expended on such a shaky premise strains credibility to the breaking point. The only interesting moments are when Stewart becomes neurotic and tries to turn Hunter into a character he thinks is dead. But that little bit of magic is quickly spoiled because it's so obvious that Hunter's death was faked. And the worst thing is that the film's secret, which is easily discerned long before the film's ending, is nothing better than a husband kills wife for money caper. Psycho is Hitchcock's masterpiece. Vertigo is mediocre.
Mediocre.
One star. I live, I die, I live again.
Shiny and chrome.
Yeah. I mean, I get where he's coming from, but it just this is inferior. Everybody saw that plot twist coming. No, they didn't.
Most people don't know that the Mad Max series is actually set in universe to Vertigo.
Oh, easily. Like because it was a different style of interceptor that Jimmy Stewart took her on a date with, where they ate cockroaches. But yeah,
they were swinging on one of those big poles at one point.
Well, Jimmy Stewart wasn't because of his agoraphobia.
Yeah, he tried it to get over it.
Get down, Judy. That's too high.
Mage, why did you put me up to this?
You can't put me up on things. I have agoraphobia.
You tried taking me to a high-end restaurant.
I can't eat here. I have agoraphobia. She's just stupid.
You should have gone to Shoney's.
He's laying on the ground in the fetal position. She's just banging her head off the table.
Stupid.
Like Weird Al and UHF.
Yeah.
Hold me. So, what's your outside insight?
I got two I'm going to share, both from the Internet Movie Database, both 4 out of 10s.
Oh, fun.
I know. I started in the middle. I was like, let's see what I find.
I thought about going like a 2, but I'm like, nah, let's see what somebody really hates about this.
4 out of 10. Tagline, not a great movie. Shared by M. Habasi in August 2020. I think the movie is too old for someone to watch these days. The background music is quite strident to the point that I would turn the sound down more than 50%.
Can't take this background music.
My other 4 out of 10 is Overrated Sellout, shared by H. Jalassi in May of 2016. Every old Hollywood glam cliche is thrown at you. You like elegant women staring off to the horizon, damsels in distress, kissing on the beach, and the waves crash in the background. This movie's got you covered. The actors were pretty good, though those eyebrows were distracting. Did she use a Sharpie to make them? Just felt like a sellout. This is popular, so do this. People like that, so add it in.
What?
I like it when people put quotation marks in their own reviews.
Yeah, there were a lot of quotation marks in mine.
I'm going to quote myself in this review.
This review I'm writing, it's got my thoughts in it. But I don't want to plagiarize, so I better quote myself.
According to Curtis. Oh, all right, folks. It's that point in the show you've all been waiting for. The Let's Talk About Flicks signature segment, the 3, 2, 1, in which Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about this week's movie Vertigo. Hey, Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first one is just the cinematography. I mean,
Yes.
San Francisco, I've never been to San Francisco, but it gives the appearance on film anyway, being a pretty beautiful city. And this movie definitely pushes that forward of just San Francisco being a beautiful city. I mean, just that Golden Gate Bridge backdrop. And I mean, it's just gorgeous cinematography.
One of my possible goods was just San Francisco as a character.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But so I really love the cinematography, color. Of course, even the Vertigo kind of shot falls into that. Like, it's just, again, I've mentioned it weeks before, but just Hitchcock making a grand film, but also challenging himself as a filmmaker to do something creative and new. To the profession, not for him, but because working with Jimmy Stewart's not new, but but still, it is what it is. My second is really just the psychological depth of this film. There's a lot of roller coasters going on here. Midge and her attachment to Scotty. Scotty's just the Vertigo. I mean, like, the pun here of like his brain is spinning this whole movie. I mean, dealing with the agoraphobia, then watching Madeline die after falling in love with her, and then meeting her doppelganger and not being able to, I mean, just so much psychological depth that we're following on Scotty's character, only then to watch Judy dealing with her own of like, I really do love you. You've got to get past that. I'm not Madeline. Like, this can work if you can get past that. So just a lot of depth there that I really like. And that just also ties up really to the performances. Jimmy Stewart, Kim Novak. I mean, you can't say they steal the movie because it's their movie anyway. But just to watch Jimmy Stewart, and I kind of agree with my Outside Insight reviewer of just kind of this bumbling kind of dude at the beginning, and then just watching him act his pants off. In this whole roller coaster ride that he's giving us, and Kim Novak keeping up. I think that's a testament. I've said before, last week it was, Grace Kelly keeping up with Jimmy Stewart. I think a lot should be said about Jimmy Stewart as a performer too, that he never overshadows his co-stars. He's very like Tom Hanks in that regard of like,
knows how to let a scene breathe.
Yeah. Like, I could do just about anything you need me to do, but I'm going to, we made WWE references earlier. Like, I'm going to sell the moves that I'm given as well. Like, I'm going to make my partners better just being here with me. So,
Jimmy Stewart, the HBK of.
It's Jimmy the Hitman Stewart. Excellence of execution.
I was watching. I found out YouTube. Of course, the YouTube algorithm knows that I like that era of wrestling. So I get
a lot of it too.
So it brought up the A&E Shawn Michaels biography from a couple years ago, which
I
had not seen. I'll send it to you when we're done here. I've watched it. I've got through all of it just on and off in the last couple of days. Really good.
Yeah.
Just tells a good narrative.
Good deal. What are your 3 goods?
My 3 goods. They all involve heartbreak.
That's all right.
I mean, the first one is just.
Well, you just talked about Shawn Michaels, so it's fair that your 3 goods.
The heartbreak kid.
It's a nice segue there.
I totally did that on purpose.
I could tell.
Yep. So my first one is just Midge's just genuine reaction. We were laughing along with it earlier, but like, of her blown attempt at humor, painting herself into that Carlotta portrait, and he storms out, and she's just furious at herself and just heartbroken. She's trying so hard to win him back, and it's just not working.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's my first good.
That's fair.
It's just how real that scene was,
right,
and how real her reaction was. And kudos to the actress's name.
I had it up.
Barbara Bell Geddes.
Yes.
Yeah. For how well she performed in that scene right there. My second is just. I'm putting a couple together here, so I'm struggling to find the right words, but just how hard he falls for her, and that scene in her hotel room, when they're bathed, the camera's spinning around and they're bathed in that green light, and just how, using the word you used before, broken they are, but how just madly in love they are. and just trying so hard to sort these feelings out. And it's, like, the music swells there. And I said before in my notes that, like, I'm on the verge of crying in that scene. Just like, they love each other so much, but it's not going to work. Like, it's just, they're too broken for it to work.
Yeah, it's fractured. There's no way.
Yeah. And then my last good, we'll just cut right to the end there, and just and it kind of carries over for my second good, but, like, after he's figured it out and just how furious he is, and we never really,
understandably so,
and we never saw that side of his character until right there at the end. You never saw him be that angry, but he still loves her. And you almost feel like that anger is amplified by how by all of the other emotions he'd been feeling to this moment, and how it's just amplifying.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's got a lot of emotions going on, and so they all just power up together.
So he Voltrons.
I was going to say he's the. I was going to go. He's Mighty Morphin Power Ranger.
They combine their powers together.
Oh my God, he's Captain Planeting again.
So those are my three goods. It's basically just heartache after heartache after heartache, but Shawn Michaels' sweet chin music's in the end.
Fair enough.
So, hey, Oz, what are your two bads?
My first is the pacing of this film. There are some times where it's pretty slow, only because we're letting the scenes breathe. We're letting these actors act. We're letting everything resonate and crockpot its way through, which is fine. But with that, it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's just, it's one thing that I don't know. It's weird. I'm almost more accepting of a plot moving slowly in an hour and a half film, because it's like, I feel like it's still, you're dragging it out, but you're dragging it out to make it feature length. But then, like, when you've got a slower moving plot, to build suspense, and it's like 2 hours, like, you could possibly, granted, I'm not going to criticize Hitchcock on this, but it's like, there were areas that could have been trimmed up just a touch, so that's my first bad. It's nitpicky, but the pacing. Sure. My second, not so nitpicky, is just the treatment of women in this movie. Just all of them are submissive. All of them are manipulated, just broken, top to bottom, just terrible.
Yeah.
So, that's just the treatment of women is awful in this movie. So even the manhandling of her at the end, I just go on and on and on. But anyway, so those are my two bads. What do you got?
Let's see. I had three bads going in, and you just took both of them. So I'll go with I'm gonna start with. Pardon me. I'm gonna start with Hollywood contracts at the time. Kim Novak wasn't supposed to be in this movie. It was supposed to be Vera Miles.
Okay,
but there was contract issues, and then I think I was reading she got pregnant as well right before they were about to start. But, like, contracts were weird at this time in Hollywood, and, like, you would get locked into, like, studios and yeah. So just Hollywood contracts and
right. I'm glad that's broken. The only time you really see anything similar to that is, like some of the rules on James Bond actors. It's where you're not really locked in, but it's like there's certain things you can't do. You probably get a little bit of that too with your, your comic book universe movies of things you can't do. I think if what's his face was still like an acting Superman, you wouldn't have seen him in Wolverine and Deadpool, like that kind of stuff. But that's just, I think that's just common sense, really. But no, I get you. The Hollywood contracts were terrible back then. Like you were locked in, and you still get some of that though too, with that there's a so many picture deal with a studio, and then you see like garbage come out just to satisfy a contract.
That's how Mike Myers. That's why he had to do the Cat in the Hat.
Yeah, just to get out of a contract.
Yeah, he was. I don't even remember what studio it was, but he had to be in that studio's movie, and they basically told him, like, you're doing Cat in the Hat, or we're coming after you.
It was Warner Brothers.
Yeah, and he hated doing that movie. and it was an awful. I've never seen it in its entirety, but yeah,
it was Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah,
and you could tell he wasn't having fun either.
No.
So my other bad, which I thought of as you were talking, so thank you for buying me time.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I've read about it, that they did film an alternate ending that would have taken place after that, where he goes back to talk to Midge, and like the radio's on, and there's something about like a manhunt, for Gavin Elster across Europe. And although I'm glad they didn't use it, like, why?
Right.
It would have been just such a downer of an ending. Like,
yeah.
Like it ended about as well as any movie could have ended, just on that cliffhanger right there.
Well, and your pure hatred for Kim Novak, to let her die twice in a film is just magic for you. Couldn't have been a more perfect ending for you.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying though.
Yeah. So I'm glad they didn't tack it on the film, but like, why in the world would you ruin what could be one of the best endings I've ever seen in a movie? Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
it's such a solid ending.
Yeah, so that's my other bad. Hey Oz, what's your
Again, I know I've mentioned my Outside Insight reviewer once. I'm going to do it again. I had this as my before I had picked my Outside Insight, but my is. Boy, there's a real elaborate plan of Gavin's.
Yep. Yep.
like, was Gavin just bored? Like, coming up with, how am I going to get rid of my wife? I know. I've got a friend with agoraphobia. It's so complex.
Yep.
And so many steps. And it's just, you just kind of leave your head scratching. Like, what would have happened if any step of this didn't work the way that you had drawn it up? Like,
if he actually made it to the top of the tower.
Yeah. Like, just what cool, it's just for everything to fall in place. So that's my Haas. It's like, whoa, how convenient that every step of your 15-step plot worked out.
He figured out, based on the imagery from the dream she was describing, oh, this is the mission 100 miles south of San Francisco.
Yeah.
Now we're going to drive there. There's, you really got to,
Yeah, there's a lot there, yeah. So what's your
My is, and I briefly mentioned it earlier, after he fished her out of the water, instead of taking her to a hospital, he just brought her back to his apartment.
Well, he liked the way the clothes fit when they were wet, I guess. Oh, you took a dip, huh?
You're nasty.
You look freaky.
And so, he put his hand upon her hip and brought her back to his apartment, and instead of providing her, medical care. So there's a lot wrong with Scotty in this movie.
A lot, yeah. There is incredible amount of wrong with Scotty in this movie.
Yeah, and you wonder how much of that was there prior to the trauma he experienced right at the beginning when that chase.
Yeah.
They couldn't have all been that. Like, this is a guy who had some issues. Clearly had some issues.
I agree. So, fun month though.
Yeah, 5-monther Hitchcock-tober. Wow. Yeah. 5 quality movies too.
Yeah, no duds. No duds. Just like next month. So
no duds at all in next month.
Won't be any. Nope. Our theme for November is weather's cooling off. A lot more inside activities happening.
Yep.
We are going to do a month of video game movies. Yep. Just that's how it is.
Movies based off popular video games.
Yes, and there are some that are going to be omitted. Like, you're not going to see a Super Mario Brothers movie on here. These are all movies that, yes, they're based on video games, not games based on videos or on movies. Because that was a whole thing too.
You think of all the Nintendo, just the old NES games, Top Gun,
or even just all those insanely hard Disney video games.
Yeah,
I mean, those were some of the hardest games on the consoles. You're going to go play Lion King, are you? Well, good luck getting out of the first level because you don't know what to do, so you're going to die. Just like Mufasa. And so, no, for next month, we're kicking off a 4-week month of video game movies. The first movie being my pick, and I figure it's fitting because it's right after Halloween. We're going to be watching Silent Hill.
Yeah,
a movie I've not seen it. You've watched it for the first time.
Yes, I watched it yesterday for the first time ever, and we've got things to discuss next week.
I'm looking forward to it. So Silent Hill kicks off a month of video game movies. Social media-wise, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We are on TikTok now. You can find us at the Patreon link down below also, if you'd like to pay us to not make TikToks. No, TikToks are obviously, they're just the best parts, the chopped up parts of our shows. Yep. So you can microdose us.
If you could distill Oz and Curtis down to 7-second blasts.
Yeah, or sometimes 30 to 60 seconds. Depends. But it's a fun little wrinkle we throw in there. Yeah. So and you can also find those on YouTube as well, YouTube Shorts. They get some traction. Yeah. I'm not going to deny. Not that people necessarily want to stick around and listen to analytics, but we find the channel.
I'm all ears.
I'm always kind of surprised with what does show up. Let's see here. Let's see, analytics or content. That's what I want to go to. Shorts. Our Rear Window shorts have probably 1,600 views out of the 5 of them. Yeah. So your movie Marriage from the Birds had 428. My movie Marriage from Rear Window has 65. So slacking. Yeah, I don't care. But no, it's fun. It's fun to get people, at least people are seeing the channel content. Whether they want to dive further in it is fine with us. But either way, we will be back next week to kick off Video Game Movie Month with Silent Hill. Another quick shout out to the Chicago Indie Critics for the fine work they do. And we will see you guys next week. So for Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And Video Game Month with Silent Hill is coming up next week.